From retro to next gen, we've got it all. I'm George, a Gen X grown-up, and this is Bit by Bit. Alright, here's a tiny little bit from CTV News on their website, london.ctvnews.ca. Apparently, a student has now set a new Guinness World Record by building the world's smallest arcade machine. So, this student built a machine that runs Pong from the Atari days, way back one of the original arcade games, 2.5 inches tall, 27 millimeters wide. I think that's about an inch wide. So that's just super cool. Let's see, $10, and then the microcontroller another 15. So for like $25, she built this super tiny thing. There's an image of it right there in her hand. That's just awesome. I love people taking the games that I grew up with and turning them into something cool like a Guinness World Record. And here is my favorite bit so far that I've recorded for the Bit by Bit video series. It is an article over on TimeExtension.com all about a Dragon's Lair's Game Boy Color port that I did not know existed. Oh my God, this thing, there's a lot here to read. It's very dense, as you can see. They give you some videos to break it up a little bit. But look at these screenshots of what these people were able to accomplish. Here's the original from the arcade. Here's what they did. That one's pretty bad. But look at this one right here. Dirk underneath the drawbridge and then climbing back up in. I mean, I have to get this and play this. This is just incredible. I mean, I remember back when Dragon's Lair was super popular and they were trying to port it to different systems, and they were just making whole new games and slapping Dirk in them and calling it Dragon's Lair X blah blah blah. Who cares? But they actually took Dragon's Lair and put it on a Game Boy Color. I've got to get this. If you are as big a fan of Dragon's Lair as I am, well, first of all, what's wrong with you? Second of all, go read this article over at TimeExtension.com. It'll absolutely be worth it. All right, here's a hardware bit from TimeExtension.com. We've got a brand new accessory to help you connect your old retro stuff up to your modern television. The Scalable video switch has come out. I guess it's supposed to replace a RetroTink 4K or an OSSC. This thing is fully customizable, user upgradable, has 32 input modules and up to 6 output modules that can handle S-card, component, VGA, composite S-video. I mean, nuts, just all this stuff. Now, it is pricey if you want to build it out. So you get the scalable video switch and the remote for $50, and the input-output modules average around $30 a piece. But if it's something you need, it might just be worth it. And here's another hardware bit from XboxEra.com. They want to talk about their impressions on the mClassic Retro. So this system, I think, is specifically designed at the 6th generation of home consoles. So things like your Xbox, original Xbox, and whatnot. They talk about this here. There's 3 different parts in the line that you can get. The mClassic OG, which is a pass-through switch with enhanced and retro modes. mClassic Retro that they're talking about in this article, which gives you the original mClassic and the retros. I don't know what he's talking about here. And then there's one designed to work with a Switch. But what I was caught most by is that these things have these different modes. And look at the differences here between these two. So on the left is XBHD, which the article writer has been using in the past. And on the right is the mClassic Retro in Mode 1. Boy, that does look a lot better. Now, I don't know how it would look on your screen, but if you've got a 6th gen console that you're having problems hooking up to your modern LCD, this might be a thing to grab. All right, here's a group of bits to give us some top 10 list feels. The first one coming to us from pvplive.net talks about a group of 10 pixel games that they say the low quality graphics don't really matter to them. I know absolutely none of these games except for one. Hyperlift Driver I've never heard of, Octopath Traveler, Dead Cells, Blasphemous Until Then. We go all the way down here to number 8. Shovel Knight I know. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove I don't think I've played, but I'm guessing it's the same thing in the series. Anyway, if you like pixel games, this is a good place to go to find out some games you've probably never heard of, just like me. Moving on. we've now got a group of top 10 lists from CBR, and I'm going to run through these real quick. The first one is top modern games that feel retro. We've got Axiom Verge, feels like a successor to Metroid at number 10. Vampire Survivor. We've got Celeste is a challenging precision platformer. I don't know Celeste, but looks cool. Super Hot. Know that game, love that game, and played that game a lot. That is a great game. I don't know how retro it feels, but it's a super fun game. Octopath Traveler, okay, plays homage to other classic, what is it, JRPGs. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Streets of Rage 4. Streets of Rage was a great game. I loved that back in the day. Psychonauts 2. All right. I think I know Psychonauts, so that could be fun. Undertale is an Earthbound style RPG. All right. Again, Shovel Knight has made a list. I guess this is a very popular game right now. I have to go check it out. And of course, Cuphead, which we have heard of many, many times. Let's move on to the CBR's next top 10 list. This one is top 10 retro video game consoles with the best sound. Now, this really surprised me because look what made the list at number 10. The 2600 from Atari. You'd have never convinced me that this would have been on anybody's list for best sound. Because truthfully, it doesn't feel like it's the greatest sound when you compare it to other consoles, but I do love it. I love a lot of those sounds. That Pac-Man sound from the Pac-Man 2600 game that everybody else hates, but I love, it's a part of that system. ColecoVision, okay, totally understand that. That's great. TurboGrafx 16, nice. Jaguar, okay. I didn't have a Jaguar, but I'll take their word for it. Sega Master System sounds like 8-bit Genesis. All right, fair enough. Nintendo Entertainment System, yeah, I got to admit, that should definitely be up there. Super Nintendo, of course, a little bit higher right after it. Sega Genesis, yeah, 16-bit gaming glory, right? Neo Geo, boy, I always wanted one of these consoles. I really, really want one of these consoles. I need to go to eBay and spend some money, I guess. And of course, number one, Nintendo 64. Yeah, there's a lot of great systems on that. I mean, you look at some of the games they've got listed here in the pictures. Of course, James Bond there. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that list, but there you go. There's another one if you'd like to take a look. And the final one over here at CBR, top 10 video consoles that were tragically ahead of their time. Number 10, Game Gear, backlit color screen, but of course we all know that the Game Boy totally destroyed it in sales. Atari Lynx at the time was better than most consoles. It just didn't have a lot of support or a lot of games. Virtual Boy was a 3D console before the Nintendo 64. I don't know that I'll say this one was tragically ahead of its time. I've played the Virtual Boy at many conventions like SFGE, which comes out in like the summer months over in Atlanta. I don't like the Virtual Boy that much. I know a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for it. I just don't like it. But here's one I love. Dreamcast, absolutely one of my favorite consoles from back in the day. This was the last Sega machine. Love Shenmue on this game, or on that system. It was brilliant. 3DO, we all know how crazy expensive, especially comparatively with inflation, the 3DO was. Obviously, there's an incredible chipset for the time in that system. The Wii, this was a thing that never really took off. I know it was supposed to be for indie game developers and supposed to be this whole new platform just for them where we could all share in that stuff, but yeah, it didn't really do well. Neo Geo, arcade machine for the home, fair enough, all right. Engage, a smartphone before smartphones. Wow. The Engage from Nokia. Man, I haven't thought about that thing in forever. Apple Pippin was a precursor to the Xbox. I know nothing about this. This was the one that I guess Microsoft worked on it in tandem with Apple. But yeah, look at this. It was launched in 95. They discontinued it in 97. They only sold 42,000 units. Yeah, Apple didn't really have that much. And of course, the Game.com was just two ahead. A handheld video game console with internet and a touchscreen in 97? Wow. Developed by Tiger Electronics? Okay, I got to do a deep dive on that. That's some good information there, CBR. Let's move on to one last one here. Top 10 best gaming studios that no longer exist. THQ's gone? Okay. Atari, well, they're not gone. The old Atari is gone, but the new Atari is going real strong, so I'm not going to put that one on my list. Sierra Online, all right, yeah, there was some good stuff in there. All right. Alpha Dream, don't know them, but they are apparently big in 3DS. Arcane Austin, don't know them. Let's see what they've developed. Dishonored, okay. Prey, Deathloop, really? They made Deathloop and they're gone? Wow, okay. Hudson Soft, let's see. They created Mario Party, Bomberman, Hudson Soft. Wow, okay, all right. Telltale Games. Yeah, this one was one that feels like it shouldn't be dead at this point because of the way that they developed kind of a whole new genre of gaming. The decision-making click things like the Walking Dead games and stuff. Man, that's a damn shame that they're gone. Neversoft. Wow, okay. Midway. Okay, yeah, Midway's gone, but their legacy lives on through pinball. Mortal Kombat, obviously. Tron, we know. Japan Studio. Japan Studio? I don't know this. Bloodborne, I think I've heard of. Shadow of the Colossus. Boy, I am completely lost in some of these top 10 lists, but there are a lot of great ones. I'll make sure all the links are down in the description. And finally, here's a bit from GizmoChina.com letting us know that some details have apparently leaked on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is due out, I think, next year at this point. This guy, I guess, on a Reddit thread, from what I was reading here, says that he's seen this handheld. There's some images here that we've seen in the past from the Nintendo Switch 2. What's interesting to note is that apparently Mario Kart 9 might be the launch title, maybe packed in with it. I don't know how that's going to work. We've already known that it's going to have an LCD display. Apparently there's going to be an OLED version or an OLED version to come out later on. I'm guessing, as they see how sales are going with this thing and whatnot. Not a whole lot in the leaks, but it is interesting to see that more and more people are apparently getting their eyes on these systems and letting us know what's going to be coming out for the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, here's an interesting bit from GamerANX.com. Tetris Forever has already gotten an update. This thing just got released in November, and here on December 20th, when this article was written, they have already put out an update for Tetris Forever from Digital Eclipse. I guess in this new update, they're bringing a new game to the system, to the platform, called Welltris, which is apparently an old MS-DOS game that you can play Tetris inside a well, and you work from the top down, filling up the space with the shapes. Interesting. Apparently there was also an update because some Nintendo Switch players were having some issues with some stuttering and whatnot. But anyway, it just goes to show you how responsive and quick to act Digital Eclipse is with their products here on Tetris Forever, an update only a month into the game's release. That's going to do it for the news making headlines in the gaming world right now. I am George, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, and I'll keep on bringing you the news bit by bit.